if you would, I want you guys to get into positions right over here. Just what we're going to be doing is some street fighting classes, and we're going to teach you guys how to operate in not so friendly environments. It's a lot like a sport environment, but there are no rules. But a lot of the fight principles are the same. First thing that anybody has to do before they get into a fight is to get into a good, ready position. It's either called a ready position or an on guard position, or you'll have a lot of names that people come up with. They're all about the same. First and foremost, about 98% of all your fighters or people are right-handed. So we want to put our strong side to the rear. So both of you guys are right-handed, correct? All right, what you want to do is kind of put your feet together at first, and then just take a step back about shoulders width apart with your right leg. And if you could imagine standing in the center of a clock and 12 o'clock being straight ahead, you'll be anywhere from 45 degrees to almost 90 degrees with your feet. And you'll have a slight bend in your knees, pressing through your knees and into your toes. Can you guys follow along?
Hey, Jimbo here with a quick announcement. I've got some ultra brutal fight ending moves that I am not allowed to share with you here. They're ugly, vicious, lethal moves. They're also surprisingly simple to learn. Outside the U.S. Special Forces, not a lot of guys know these, but when it hits the fan and your life is on the line and you need something truly nasty to end a fight in a couple of seconds, you're gonna wanna know this stuff. It's brutal hand-to-hand training that's yours for free. Just get to the description below and click on the link. Okay, back to our video.
Good. Now, you don't want your feet too wide. A lot of the old traditional karate systems will get too wide down here. When they get real wide like this, it gives you strength, but you lose speed. And if they get too close together, you get speed and you lose your power. So we like a good North American boxing stance as best as we can. Next thing you want to do is very important that your elbows stay real close to your side. If you're facing 12 o'clock, your feet are going to be facing between 1 and 2 o'clock, both toes. If you just put your elbows by your side, ball your fist up, and pull them up to where they're real close to your cheeks, and you're kind of looking right in here. You're going to have a little bitty hole right here. You want that. We can defend against that real easy. We don't want to do this, get this hand right in front of your face. What happens here, you can get hit and it works around it. Actually, the farther your hand is in front of your face or away from your face, or either to the sides or to the front, is the more easy you are to hit your chin. And that's our first knockout area. So what we've got here is a strong side to the rear so we can drive, and we've got our weak side to the front. Now, go ahead and relax a second and I'll show you what I got going on here. If I can just have you stand face me real quick and get into a ready position. It's very important to note that we're going to point our shoulder, our lead shoulder, their lead shoulder. And what we want to do is have our lead hand to be our weak hand. And the same time, when we move, we're going to shove our head right down into the pocket of our shoulder for punching. Now, if you turn and face this way for a second, we'll get a better look at it. Go ahead. Put your hand out. All right, straight ahead. All right, what we want to do is protect the V of the jaw. This is a real vulnerable area. It's easy to hurt people and knock them out, and protect the throat. Keep your back hand up in here and your elbow along your side. This is extremely important. When it comes to punching, basically you're hitting with your front two knuckles. If it's a punch, I just prefer hitting with the whole front side. The more surface area I can hit with, the harder I'm going to hit. And you want to lock it out. Now, if your knees aren't bent here, you can have your friend come up here and push you like that. Go ahead and put your weight on your back leg, and you'll fall off balance. You don't have any power in here, so you want to bend and get down on your toes whenever you're working like this. And make sure that always, once again, that you throw your chin right down to the pocket of your shoulder. And this is a good position right here. Everything looks good. If you tend to, go ahead and pull your hand back in. If you get your body this way and open it up like a big billboard, it's easy to penetrate the vital areas right down the center of the body. So we want to make sure we turn our body, flex our knees. Go ahead, Dale, fall in right over there. And put your weight right through to the ball of your toes. And the first thing we're going to do is actually move a little bit. Your movement patterns will come next. All we want to do is when we move is to make sure that we go toe to toe. There's a lot of schools of thought out there on how to move. I like to move as fast as I can in each and every direction. And there's good reasons behind everything that people do. But if you move toe to toe, what's going to happen is you're just going to take a little step. If you take a 6-inch step here, you're going to take a 6-inch step here. If you take a 2-foot step, you're going to take 2 foot. And that was heel. And so you want to be real symmetrical with your feet. Common problem is most people, they will step here and they'll pull that foot way up here, and then they end up losing their balance once again. Balance is essential to successful fighting.
When dealing with a larger person, one of the things that we want to cover is trying to take some of the strength away from him. And a lot of ways we can do this is by range. Everybody has a range where their power is. The advantage to being small is as we move closer and close that interval up, his range, his strength becomes weaker as the closer that range goes in because he's not on the outside of his punches. Rather than just talk about this, what I'll do is I'll bring Bill out and we'll demonstrate a little bit about power. Right now, at this range, this is about where Bill's power is going to be. He's going to be at the end of his punch. Watch what happens when he throws a full shot in. One more time. Now, if you notice, just with his mass, even though I have a pad blocking it, I'm not taking any pain, he moved me back. If this was a confrontation, he threw a shot into the head and I blocked it, okay, even though I could take most of the snap out on my arms, he's still going to move me. Now, when I start moving in closer, and I'm talking 6-8 inches inwards, go ahead and throw the punch. Once more. And then up a little bit closer. Again. Okay? What you're noticing is I'm inside his power range. At the same time, you hold the pad for a second. Okay? Hold it over to the side there, because I'm going to throw a hook. Okay? We're inside there. He's outside his power. Okay, even though I can't move him, why? Because he's 120 pounds heavier. What that also means is he's going to absorb more punishment. One of the advantages, if you're on the outside of the range, it's a lot better to be moved than to absorb all that punishment. So what happens here, I'm not going to be able to move him. Once again, it shows the difference between strength. He's planted in there, and there's no way I'm going to move him. But his strength, now we're probably a little bit more equal. I go to the outside, he's got all of his power. So basically, we don't want to fight a big man out here. We want to be right inside that close range. He loses some of his tools. I gain all my strength. He loses a lot of his strength. That's the main thing. We're taking his strength away from him.
Hey, don't forget about those deadly hand-to-hand moves. This training is yours for free from the link in the description. I honestly don't know how long I'll be allowed to give this stuff away here, as it's pretty over-the-top stuff. So get to the description right away.
Hi, this is Dale Comstock and Joe Ted-Eye. We're going to talk about a couple things today. One is a little bit about self-defense. I mentioned in another video series, I talked about 1-2 punch, right? If a guy can master 1-2 punch, he can probably win 99% of his fights. Most guys cannot punch. They have no idea how to punch. You know, they swing wildly, they miss, they hurt their hands, and they're totally ineffective. But if you can effectively throw a 1-2 punch, guarantee you'll win most of your fights out. So let's talk about the 1-2 punch, right? I keep talking about the 1-2 punch. If you can master 1-2 punch, you probably win most of your fights. There is a technique for throwing a punch, okay? And every time I think about this one Jim Carrey movie where he gets in a fight with a guy and he puts his hands up and he does this number here, right? He's like ready to fight, you know. Okay, that's a little over the top, but a lot of guys throw their punches like this. They have their thumbs on the side and they swing like this, right? These swinging type punches. The key to winning a street fight with just good punches is to throw a straight 1-2 punch. What is a 1-2 punch? So my strong hand is my right hand in this case. So I'm going to basically always assume a boxer stance. Toe to heel, shoulders width apart with constant forward pressure. I want about 60% of my weight on my toes, 60% of my weight on my front leg. So I always have constant forward pressure, okay? My hands, my elbows are down to my side, my hands are up alongside my cheekbones about right here. This is where my hands are, nice and high, all right? This is my center line. It's going to be off center just a little bit, about a 45-degree angle. Now, what's important here is the punch. My weak hand, in this case, my left hand is my 1 punch. My right hand, my number 2 punch, okay? Now, throwing the punch. The idea here is speed kills, okay? Basically, what that means, the faster I can throw my punch, the more power I generate. Strong is wrong. We have a saying all the time. The harder I try to punch you and the more power I use, the less effective it is. So if I'm going to take a shot at Joe's face, I want my hand to flip out there as fast as I can. And the best way to do that is keep everything nice and relaxed. Let the punch go out. And basically, I'm pushing it out with my elbow. As I'm launching the punch, the fist is rolling over and my hands are still loose. I don't lock my hands up, tighten my hands up to the last 2 inches of the punch when it rolls over. Here's what I'm striking with. It's these 2 knuckles. just like that, okay? Now, when I roll my fist over, what happens is it locks out my elbow, it rolls my shoulder up, it gives me a natural sandbag here to protect my jaw and my neck, right? So I'm now vulnerable to a counter punch. So it looks something just like that, with the punch tightening up right at the end. Striking with this part of the knuckle. And basically, I'm drawing a straight line all the way down my arm. It's like hitting him with a pull, okay? When people tend to throw punches like this, their elbows bent, they lose all effect on the punch, right? They lose all the energy. The energy is going out the elbow, out that way. It's not going into the target. So on the number one punch, basically, it's pushing straight out, roll the fist over, tighten the fist up at the end of the extension. Boom, okay? Shoulders up, elbows locked, roll the fist. Now, rolling of the fist also has another benefit. It tears tissue, especially around the eye. Okay, skin's very thin around it. You turn that over on the guy's face, well, he's gonna start bleeding. Okay, so what? He's bleeding. Has a psychological effect. Okay, it also has a moral effect for me, right? It's like, okay, I've hurt the guy, right? I'm drawing blood. Now, same thing with the right hand. Now, here's the problem. If I can reach him with my left hand, I fall really short with the right hand because of my stance, right? Unless I'm squared up like this, this is a bad idea too, right? Because, you know, he's gonna hit me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate out on the balls of my feet, kick my heel out on the back leg. And when I do that, watch what happens. So my lead hand is this full extension as far as I can reach. This is as far as I can reach without rotating my leg. But when I rotate my leg out, boom, I can punch beyond his head. I can actually get more reach by doing it, and I generate more power. And the power is coming from my feet. It has nothing to do with how strong I am up here, my shoulders, or anything else. The power all is generated from, boom, that one ankle on this side, by pushing out and rotating away. Boom. Okay, so what have I effectively done? Is I've thrown a straight punch, 1 and a 2. I've got maximum reach, okay? If he's trying to hit me, and he reaches out, I'm way out here. Okay, I still have just a little bit of room to move. Boom, I can still punch right through the stuff. All right, a 1-2 punch. Now, most guys throw these looping punches. When he does that, go ahead, boom, right up the middle. Boom, right up the middle. When he's doing this, I just shift the middle. If I do this, I'm wide open. And this is where guys fail because they come in doing this. They're swimming, okay? Straight punches. 1-2 punch. It's very easy to do. You can stand up against the wall and throw the punches and just kind of slightly touch the wall with your knuckles. Practice kicking out that rear heel. And there you have it.
Guys, you're learning from the master. This guy's got more experience in fighting than anybody I know. And there's going to be more videos coming. Dale's got a ton of DVDs out right now with Fightfast. You need to check them out. Again, if you like these DVDs, ring the bell. We're not squaring off to an opponent as like in a boxing match or a kickboxing match. And it's not a slugfest, and we're not boxing back and forth. This is more boxing that we use as operators overseas in these third world countries, and they're just the closed-fisted attacks while we're hitting our enemy. First thing we're going to cover is the actual right cross. And we're initiating these not from a boxing stance as we would do if we were boxing, but we initiate all these attacks in this entire instinctive close quarters combat system from the same shooting platform we use when we're actually shooting. So from a shooting platform, I'm going to stick this thing straight out. I'm not going to pull it back. I'm not going to go back into a boxing stance. It's just going to go from my natural shooting platform, and I'm going to stick this thing straight out. I'm going to keep my elbow in tight to my body. I'm not going to pull it out. I'm not going to telegraph it and swing my body. I'm just going to stick it straight from where I'm at. And as my fist closes, as it approaches my enemy, my fist closes, and I'm just jamming it in on him. You can hit anywhere in the realities of when you're hitting somebody with a cross. It can be the chest, it can be the throat, it can be the face. It doesn't matter actually where you're hitting. As long as you're doing some type of deep tissue damage and continuous tissue damage, you're causing pain to the enemy. So from the shooting platform, I'm going to stick this thing straight out. Again, I'm stepping into the direction I'm attacking, just as if I'm stepping forward to shoot, and I'm going to get my entire body weight behind it. So from my shooting platform, I'm just going to step in and just hit him. Notice I'm getting nice and up close with him. I'm not going to hit him and just stay away with that distance. I want to close that distance so that I can get a hold of him and control him, like I talked about with the kind of the instinctive response to grab. So from my shooting platform, I'm going to stick it in, and I'm just going to stick this cross right in there, and I'm going to hit him. Okay, I'm not concerned about, in realities, I'm not concerned about with what knuckles I'm hitting with, what part of his face or neck I'm hitting. I'm just hitting the available target with some type of gross motor attack. Again, I'm stepping in from my shooting platform. I'm going to punch this out just as if I'm shooting. I'm going to step it in and just hit. Okay? But as we talked about before, we're always going to repeat ourselves. The human brain and the human mind, under stress, repeats itself. So once I hit, I'm going to hit with that initial shot, and I'm going to grab, and I'm just going to start hitting and repeating. Now notice when I hit, I'm still, like every other attack, I'm getting my body weight above his. And if you notice, I'm hitting, and I'm cycling, and I'm actually slapping with my offhand. My offhand is continuously cycling as I hit. If I'm holding, and I'm hitting, and it's working, I just keep that there. I maintain control of my enemy the whole time. But if I don't have control of him and he's still trying to move, I'm just going to cycle and slap. What that does is that every time I hit him, there's not a pause in my attack. It's hitting, and as soon as I release that, once I get that shot in, that hand is slapping. It's keeping him on a defensive mindset. So I hit, I slap, I hit, I slap, I just keep that motion going. I'm going to switch sides on him to keep him guessing as to where I'm at, keeping him on a defensive mindset. And again, I just keep hitting and hitting and hitting and slapping. Okay? Again, when we initiate these attacks, just stand right there, Darren. When we initiate these attacks, I'm from a shooting platform, I'm stepping in, I'm hitting, and I'm going to maintain that contact and just hit and just keep my body weight above his and keep driving on. Okay, one more time. From a shooting platform. Okay? I kick it straight out, I hit, and I gain control. Right? I may work into the other shots and the other attacks that we're going to demonstrate, but depending upon the distance and the actions of my enemy, I put in these crosses and I just keep hitting him. I switch sides, I hit, I'm slapping and I'm hitting, and I'm just going to keep that motion, those gross motor attacks, driving onto my enemy. Now again, with the cross in combat boxing, from a shooting platform, okay, again, I'm not pulling it back and I'm not shooting it out as if I were in a boxing match or a karate or a kickboxing tournament. I'm up from a shooting platform. I'm going to punch it out just like I'm shooting. I'm going to stick it out, and once I hit, okay, this is where I'm going to change it, and I'm going to just start driving in some of the gross motor attacks. If I can throw in the cross, okay, based on the distance or the actions of my enemy, this is where it's just going to come in. I'm just going to drive it in, change it, just drive it, slap and drive it. The whole time I'm hitting him with my offhand, just keeping him thinking defensively so that I can continue with these shots. And we don't just stick, if that one shot's working, we'll stick with it. But in reality, once I hit him and I start moving, if this is working, I'll stick to it. But in reality, because he's going to be constantly moving, he may end up here. That's going to put where the elbow is more practical. And I just start driving that elbow in. But the point is that I'm completely above him and I'm completely dominating and controlling my enemy.
The very first thing one must understand is that balance is crucial in defense as well as attack form. I'd like at this point to introduce one of my most senior students, who's been with me a little over 2 years, a police officer by the name of Kevin. Kevin holds the rank of green belt with me at this point. He's going to help demonstrate some of the methods of attack as well as what happens during the neutralization processes. If you'd like to follow me at this point. The number one point to remember is the maintaining of one's balance in what we call a 60-40 split, 60% of the weight distributed to the front versus to the rear, as a lot of karate individuals would utilize to create extension and gap. We bring it forward. Everything that we do to defend is going to be based on entrance into the danger zone being that of our opponent. Any extension that he allows or offers to me creates offset from the shoulders over the hips. Based on blending motions and manners, we will capitalize on that offset to bring forth spinal alignment. 1.5 inches out of natural spinal alignment is enough to take a human's balance. Once a human's balance has been taken, they take what's called recovery steps. If we prevent the recovery steps from allowing them to regain their balance, then we can bring forth a more peaceful resolution to the physical form of conflict. Give me an extension, please. As he extends and is offset, I capitalize on that through a slight blending motion and what we call a cutting motion, and just bringing him down to a neutralizing position. At that point, I could invert him and bring him down into what's called an extended arm pressure technique, at which point, by the raising of this hand and a blocking point at the elbow, I am not going to allow pressure to be applied, creating submission through pain. I'm just going to misalign the spine to where at this point, through just holding with just the fingers, please try to get up.
There's no getting up.
He says there's no getting up. At this point right here, this is not a technique. The technique applied would be firmly held at the wrist with one hand and what we call cutting pressure down at the elbow and raising the hand. As we raise the hand, that brings forth the neutralizing process. One more time for me, please, with some speed, please. At that point right there, he is what we call neutralized. At this point, we know he's neutralized because as I apply pressure with just a minor amount, please resist. The resistance capabilities are not in place. Therefore, his spine has been misaligned. Thank you very much. You okay?
Yes.
Go slow. Any form of extension through reach, give me a reach. Through a reach creates the same offset as a shove, give me a shove, or a punch. Each degree of offset is capitalized on through a raising or a cutting of our hands. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to the hand positions that one should maintain during their defense capabilities. To enhance their defense capabilities, an open hand with a tucked thumb, much like that is used for karate striking. However, we are not going to strike with it. We're going to utilize it based on spherical rotation of the body, blending with the oncoming energy, and a circular deflectionary method of the hand. Very slow, please. At this point right here, through the entrance of the body into the danger zone, the turning of the body and the turning of the hand, it not only intercepts and deflects and keeps us safe, but it redirects his power or his energy. The art that we are utilizing here is known as the forefather of modern Aikido. In that process, we want to bring forth conflict resolution peacefully, because rising above violence or meeting violence with violence brings forth very little conflict. This brings forth a peaceful conflict, both for the practitioner as well as for the attacker, and keeps liability issues from a self-defense standpoint as well as a law enforcement standpoint. Give me a punch to the face, please. Slow. At this point right here, the two sword hands or the two-hand method comes up, intercepts, deflects, and redirects the energy right where we need him to go. Oftentimes, we want them down on the ground because it allows evasiveness for us as well as security for our position. And then if we were in a self-defense mode and had to flee the scene, so that we extend the gap and don't allow the attacker to ensue, we will simply bring them down to a neutralized state on the ground. Give me a punch fast to the face, please.
Final notice about that lethal fight ending training. It's simple, easy to learn, and devastatingly effective training taught to special forces, but typically not to civilians. You can get it free in the description. Just hurry. I doubt very much that this will be around for long. I'll see you inside.
Thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.